Here are the best and the worst weapons in Battlefield 6 REDSEC. Knowing what weapons are actually good or bad is really important. At the end, there's only one person standing, and that's going to be the person with the best equipment, with the best strategy, and the best guns. Okay, so we have a lot of weapons to go through. I'm going to give my explanations. We played REDSEC for like 8+ hours a day for the last week or so since it came out. And I've tried every single gun because we wanted to rank them and get an idea of them. We've gone behind the scenes. We've measured out recoil, spread, bloom, damage. We've measured everything out. Just a disclaimer, these rankings are going to be primarily like for duos because that's what I play, but it should be pretty similar in squads. We're gonna go from the worst to the best. Starting off in the F tier, you guys already know it. You don't even need me to say it, but I'm gonna put it there either way. That is, of course, the LMR-27. This is probably, like, in the normal game, I consider it one of the worst guns of all time. In REDSEC, it's even worse. Does 27 damage a hit. You have to spam click it, tiny magazine, and the worst part is it is a marksman weapon. What does this mean? It means it uses marksman bullets. A limited amount of bullets. This is the same pool of bullets that you have for, like, the SV98 or any other sniper. However, because you have to fire, like, you have to hit... It's 27 damage per shot, so what? You have to hit 8 shots in rapid succession to kill someone with this thing. I don't have the number in front of me. I think it's like 80. You can carry like 80 marksman bullets or something, so you run out of ammo with this thing immediately. It's absolutely terrible. Moving into the E tier, we have the SOAR 556 MK2. Now, this one I wanted to put higher. Everyone keeps hyping this thing up, but the more I play it, the less I like it. But most importantly, like, even with the recoil reductions you have in REDSEC and Gauntlet, it does have a large bloom, and even bursting it, like whether you spray this or burst it, the bullets just go everywhere. They don't go where you're pointing it at all. The DPS is pretty low, so you get outperformed by pretty much anyone, really. Moving on into the D tier, we have the Saiga. Now, the Saiga, maybe this belongs a little bit higher. I had it in F tier initially. I played with it a little bit because I had to. Trying to get a win on every gun solo queue, which is near impossible, by the way. We were trying to get a win on that, and I've actually made some pretty good progress on it. I've noticed that with the Saiga, especially, is that the hipfire is absolutely atrocious. It has the highest theoretical DPS in the game. Really good in close range, like when you're really like beaming somebody, but there are better options even for like close range beams with shotguns that you can hip fire with, so you're a little bit more mobile. Moving on into the C tier, you're gonna start seeing some pretty controversial picks here, and yeah, that's just what it is. If you guys disagree, let me know on the stream if you're watching live or in the comments, and we can talk about it. The M277, hate this gun. I hate it. I don't think it's good. It has decent damage. What is that, 25, and it does it has very minimal damage fall off, which is nice. It's kind of like a sniper. It's like a mini sniper, mini DMR, but you have to single fire it and spam click it. Personally, I can't use single fire, so like if I have to spam click something, I'm gonna rate it low because I can't do it, so I can really feel out for myself. Full auto, it's terrible. The recoil goes everywhere. The visual recoil is very high. It is lower on REDSEC from what I noticed, and the DPS is like, it's all right. It's 13th place for DPS, but it's all right. Next up in the C tier, we have the QBZ 197. I am not sure what role this serves. It sort of reminds me of like an AK-205 in a sense that it has kind of minimal recoil with slightly higher damage because it does have pretty low damage, but it's still in the 20th place on damage, not like the most impressive damage per second. And the recoil is still pretty harsh. The bloom is pretty harsh. It still punishes you for spraying. Maybe bursting is fine, but there are better options out there. It just kind of doesn't really have a purpose. I'd say mostly C tier feels like guns that don't really have a purpose, in my opinion. The next one that comes to mind then is, of course, the L85A3, and I know people are gonna hype this thing up, but I'm gonna be honest. Obviously, this is mouse and keyboard. Controller has a whole different tier list because you guys have no recoil, but for us, it's like, you know, it's solid. Like, it's pretty much a laser beam, very accurate for the first 20-30 meters. Damage per second is not that high from my experience. I wanted to like this gun, but even when I'm bursting or I'm holding, like I'm spraying, the bullets just fly everywhere. It's very inaccurate over sustained fire. It's very inaccurate when you burst it, and the damage isn't really that good. About 30th place out of 50 guns, and that includes the pistols, so it's not the best. Next up, we have the UMG40 in the B tier. Then, of course, we're moving on to B tier. Now, the UMG40 is interesting because it doesn't really have much spread. It doesn't really have that much recoil. However, it seems the damage fall off is pretty hard on it. Bloom, from my experience, when you're moving, seems pretty harsh. So, like, if you're just moving a little bit, you just just miss everything. The raw DPS isn't that impressive either. It doesn't do too much. It's all right. Next up, we have the GRTBC. Now, this one we might rank up later, but I'm putting it here for now. The GRTBC has solid DPS. We're looking at 12th place for DPS. However, the recoil is a little bit on the harsh side. I haven't fully leveled this up yet, so maybe as a full build, it's all right. But from my experience, it hasn't been hitting, you know, serving me too well, other than maybe like an early game. Like every once in a while, it pops off, and I'm like, damn, this thing is shredding, and then the rest of the game does nothing for me. Next up, we have the M123K. Now you guys are gonna see a bias here from me, and this is most felt in the GWOS BR. I could say like the LMG weapon class might be worth more if you are in squads, because then a 100-round magazine is gonna be a lot more useful. But you're only fighting 2 people in GWOS, and you don't really get, like, even if you get third party, you can reload in time, so you don't really need a massive magazine size. We're gonna start off the B tier here, LMG wise, with the M123K. The DPS is fine on it, like it's 40th place on DPS. However, the recoil is quite harsh. I know it's less in REDSEC, but it is still harsh compared to other weapons. Maneuvering this thing, like, it's pretty slow and clunky. You're running slower unless you're support. And like the big problem with LMGs is they're good if you hold the position. If I'm in zone and I'm controlling all the space and stopping people from rotating, this thing is amazing because you can down somebody and then finish them off. But you have like they have like a gazillion health when downed, so you can finish them off and then keep shooting the next guy and just keep going crazy with it. The issue is, however, when you are the one rotating in, or you have to clear an angle or something, you have to lift your gun, it takes too long. The M60 is also a B tier pick for me. The damage is all right. It's actually lower, but it does do 3 shots for a kill on unarmored, and then, like, you know, because you have armors, it kind of loses that spark, that shine. It doesn't really like hit nearly as hard. 29th place for overall damage. I think the point of this one is like, okay, it does a lot of damage per shot, so you can snipe people with it, but it does have a pretty hefty damage fall off. Does have damage fall off over range, as does every gun. You still have to hit a lot of shots with this thing to actually kill somebody. In my experience, the recoil is quite harsh when you're gonna get hit by hard recoil / bloom when you start like trying to pick people off of this thing, so it actually doesn't really do too much. It's not terrible in the normal mode because you shoot a burst of 5, you're gonna kill an enemy, but you need a burst of what, 10 shots if not more to kill somebody. In REDSEC, it just doesn't feel right at all, and like past that point, the bullets just start flying everywhere. Next up, we have the M240L, another LMG. You guys are free to disagree with me. M24L actually was interesting to me because I believe this one also has a pretty solid recoil, and it has a pretty solid like damage fall off. DPS is quite high. The only thing that holds it back is the fact it is a LMG. It's slow, it's clunky. That's it. It is 16th place in DPS, which is nice, but that means there's 16 weapons ahead of it. And the fact that you need to slowly like ADS to get the kills with it, it just doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't feel right to me, just how hard it slows you down in a BR. Next up, we have the M250. Now, this one is interesting. I'm pretty sure these guns are pretty much the same. Not too much recoil and not too much spread or anything. This one actually has very minimal damage fall off. However, it comes at a cost. It only has a mag of 50, which means that you're basically like gonna have to reload all the time, and it takes like what, 6 seconds to reload. You can make a build with a large mag size, but they cost you like 55 loadout points. You're not gonna get the value from it that you want. You know what? Yeah, let's bump this thing down to C tier. This belongs more here. Like, these are mostly accurate guns, like over range, but they just lose the fights up close mostly. The AK-40 is next up on the list in the B tier for me. I want this to be a better gun. I want it to be a better gun. Swedish supremacy, right? Proud of it to be in the game. I'm happy it's in the game. It's basically just a rebranded version of the G3. Problem with this gun is it's supposed to be a high accuracy gun. It does 33 damage per shot up close. That's pretty damn great. The problem is when you actually use it, the spread and the bloom is insanely high unless you tap fire with it. Again, I can't tap fire with it because of my hand, and there's no way to actually do that properly without scripting. Now, this thing does have a theoretical 2-shot in the MP, and like I said, we're 3-shot in the head in REDSEC if you have hollow points on it, but I don't have hollow points unlocked. I don't think you can get them from any builds in game. There are hollow points in the game. I think the MP7 gets it if you do like the certain build path, so they do exist, but in most cases they don't exist. It doesn't make much of a difference. I feel like overall synthetic / hollow points, with some exceptions, aren't like too worth it, especially in REDSEC, because of how many shots you need to sink into someone to begin with. Next up, we have the DRS IAR. It's another weapon I know you guys, maybe not you guys, but people have hyped up all over the internet, and they continue to do. It's always the first few guns, man. Maybe the first few guns are good, or maybe people just pick the first gun, they unlock it, and then they just don't want to move on from it. We've seen it do well in close range. I've seen it do well with like the ground unlocks. However, it's 19th place on damage. The bloom, the spread is not like insane on it either. If you start bursting it or tap firing it, it kind of starts shooting wildly. If I'd make up an effective range, we're gonna make effective ranges for all these guns. This is a future video. Making it up, it feels like a 2050 at most. Like it's not past that range, it just doesn't serve you at all. It gets the job done. Like you can get a larger mag, which is nice. Like it helps in early game, but like as soon as you start playing as better guns, it just really falls off. Like the damage is just not there, neither recoil wise or spread wise or just raw damage wise. Moving on, we have the M417A2, which I'm also gonna place in the B tier. This one I wanted to place higher because I know it has a high potential. However, it has a very harsh recoil. It does have a decent DPS. It's on 11th place on raw DPS, but once you actually use it, it just doesn't feel right. So it doesn't really like hit that hard, and like it runs out of ammo so fast. You have to spend points to get like a half decent mag. It's just not worth it. Like with the harsh recoil, bloom, whatever, like the bullets go everywhere. It doesn't do like too much damage. It's an okay amount of damage. Like it's almost in the top 10, but then you have to reload after one kill because the bullets just go everywhere. So it's not really like the effective DPS is much lower than the actual raw DPS. And then we have the SOAR 300. Maybe I should put this one lower, but I do feel it's better than these guns. The SOAR 300 does not have the best DPS. However, it's a little bit more accurate. I think that's a trade-off. It's a 33 bullet gun, which means that when the enemies don't have armor, you 3-tap somebody. When they do have armor, it's like what, 5-tap somebody? Yeah, you can 6-tap somebody in the body if they're up close, which I guess is nice. In my opinion, the bloom recoil was quite harsh, but up close, it's not terrible. And it can work over range, but it's a weird mix of a carbine SMG. It doesn't really like belong anywhere in my opinion, but it does damage. You can get kills with it. Closing out the B tier, we have one more weapon. This one might be controversial. I think it's gonna be a bit difficult because I realize now as I'm making this video, the M39 that I forgot to even mention in my list is not very good. It does 39 damage, I believe, or 40 damage per shot, which means you have to hit a lot of shots to secure one kill. It is a DMR, so you run out of ammo really fast. It does seem fairly forgiving with like the velocity. It does shoot decently, but overall, I don't feel like it's all that. I don't know, DMRs are a little bit overrated. It's not like Apex. I remember the Scout was really good for a while. I'm pretty sure it's like this is the inspiration for the Scout, but it doesn't really hit as hard as it probably should. In the same vein, you have the SVDM. Now these are pretty much two pieces in a pod. The main difference that I could find is like, so the damage is the same, but the SVDM has significantly less bullet velocity. I believe maybe it shoots faster and has a lower bullet velocity. Both of them, like, I guess they're decent very close range early game, but once you get to like the more extreme ranges, they're not as good in my opinion. So I'm putting these two DMRs in the B tier. Like these are extreme long ranges, so they serve different purposes than a lot of these guns, or they're supposed to be long ranges, but it's, I'd say all of these seem to serve mostly the same purpose. I think these, like, some of these might be decent in early game, but when you get to late game, you need to make sure that you want an A tier gun, an S tier gun. You want to have a custom build on it. If you don't have a custom build on these guns, then what you're gonna notice is that they're not really there. Some of these guns are really good, but the kits on the ground are straight up terrible. Like what I can accomplish, even if I get a golden one, and I know people get really triggered over this, but it's a good example. The golden guns that's a superior weapon. They have 100 loadout slots on them, so that's the equivalent of a custom gun. However, the devs who made these have different like approaches of weapon balancing in mind. Like, I don't know exactly what made them build them that way. The problem is, for example, snipers, they don't have rangefinders on them in most cases, so they're kind of like not as good. You need the rangefinder to do consistent damage and do the rangefinder trick. I know people get triggered over that. That's just the truth. If you want to go about that, that's fine. I think knowing how to hit shots without rangefinder is definitely a skill that you can benefit from, especially because you can't find rangefinders on the ground for most guns and most build paths. However, it is objectively better because you don't have to lead your shots the same way. I am sorry to be the one to tell you, you're gonna do more damage if you can hit your shots without having to spend another 10 minutes to like, oh yeah, the wind is going this and that way. That's just what it is. But the same thing can be found with other weapons. There are golden weapons that full auto, even a SOAR 556, they just feel terrible because they're missing like one attachment that would make them feel really good that I have in my meta builds, or they don't really like they don't really focus recoil the way they should, so controlling recoil on these guns feels terrible. The golden guns are good on the way, but ultimately you want the custom builds that are meta builds that we do cover on the channel. We're gonna jump into the A tier. We have the AK205. This one I would like to be S tier, but it suffers from one pretty large issue. It's the DPS. This thing is the definition of a laser, but the DPS is so low. Like I mentioned a few times, I believe in this video. 35th place for damage. The fall off, I believe, is fairly harsh on it, and it just feels like a pea shooter. It does 20 damage a hit, which means you need to hit 10 shots to one clip someone at close range. It has a DPS of 240, and you have to reload it pretty damn fast. It just doesn't feel good to shoot this thing. It is insanely accurate though. So once you have somebody rotating ahead of you, like as long as they're not shooting back, right, at like, you know, 50 meters, 100 meters plus, whatever, you can beam them. Snipers, you can beam them. It's a good beamer. It's almost like a I guess what a DMR should be, but a little bit more like on the close range side, I guess. But you will lose every single 1v1 because the DPS is so fucking low, especially like if you're taking a 1v1 close range. Next up, we have the B36. I am afraid I might be overrating this one. We're gonna have to probably get back to this one. This one might end up being moved down a little bit. But what I noticed is that with the changes to bloom, with the changes to recoil, especially in REDSEC, we noticed that the B36, like the DPS isn't insane on it. The DPS isn't insane on it, but somehow, dude, it is insanely accurate. Whether you burst or hold, most of the time when you burst, like you burst up to 10 bullets or 8 bullets or whatever, like it's pretty damn accurate. You can get people from far range. Like you can actually get like a full clip with this thing from like 1 or 2 bursts with no problem. Even on the longer ranges, it's really accurate if you're bursting it. If you're full auto, it's even okay up to a certain range, like 50 meters or something. Next up, we have the NVO 228. Now this one we might end up rating lower as well. It is an AR. It's all right. It gets the job done. I have no real notes on it other than like it does 33 damage for a body shot up close. So if you're up close, you'll 6 shot burst somebody, which is nice. But if they're far away, it's not as good. Burst it, you have to kind of burst it past most ranges. The bloom is quite harsh on it from what we tested, like an MP. But from what I've gathered, it's pretty much the same like bloom values between MP and REDSEC. But yeah, I guess it's like an 8 tier. Like I've seen people do well with it. Next up, we have the PW7A1. This one was confusing me because when we did the video yesterday, I said that this did 18 damage. I was wrong. However, it doesn't do 16 damage either. It does 17 in Gauntlet. I don't understand that. So it does 14.5 against armored targets, as we have discovered with the armored, but it does 17 against bodies. I am 100% sure I measured 18 at one point, so I have no idea where it's getting like 17 from. Maybe it's 17.5, and that's where I'm rounding it up. Try this out yourself and you're gonna feel it. It has pretty much no recoil. The DPS is all right. It's 34th place on the DPS here, but the recoil actually feels quite all right on it. So it just feels like a laser up close and to like towards mid ranges. It's fine. I know these guns are like not my ideal choices. I think that's why I have some apprehension here, but they're still better than the B tier choices. Like for me, when I play these types of games, if I'm tryharding, I'm just trying to win as many games as possible. I'll look at S tier, I'll look at A tier. I don't care about B. I don't care about C. I don't care about D, E, or F. Like this, I guess, is good to know what's guns to absolutely never pick up. But these are just, it's just a mid-out. I'm not gonna touch these guns anyways. It doesn't really matter. Next up, we have the M87A1. And this one, oh man, this one is gonna be hard to rank because it is a shotgun. It has one very specific use case. You can do slugs and you can do buckshot. Both are solid. You will 2-tap anyone within range of this thing. If it's buckshot, the range is a little bit worse, but you can hit fire better from my experience. It's a bit more forgiving. If you use the slugs, you have a lot more range. If you ADS, you can 2-tap. It's actually very oppressive if you play cover. I believe the 2-tap is up to what, 17 meters is what we tested. So you could just play like cover and you wiggle peek and kill people, just tap them down. It's extremely strong, it's extremely underrated. I haven't seen anyone use it, but when I used it, we popped off with it. The reason I only put an A tier is because there is a better option in S tier. Next up, we have the M43. This one has amazing DPS, dude. This one is, where is it on the list here? It's also on the 13th place. It feels way faster than that. It also has a pretty large mag size, which feels good on like off rip when you put it on the ground. The GRT has the same DPS as this one. But what I did notice with the M433 that holds it back a little bit was that the horizontal recoil. Like it's very jumpy. Bursting, it feels all right. It's not the best. And as soon as the target is too far away, you just cannot shoot them with this gun at all. When they're closer, it's like it's what an SMG should be, I guess. Like when the target is gonna close in, it's fine. I guess these are like pretty similar. The M433 and the GRTB seem the more I think about it, and the M433 has the higher recoil. So we're gonna move this one down to B tier. Next up, we have the cord. This one, you guys keep telling me like the cord is amazing, but I keep using it, and I'm like, dude, this thing is not all that. I still don't see the hype. The DPS is not insane. It does have a reduction against armor. It does 300 DPS, 270 against armor, 20 damage per shot. Bloom's pretty hard. The recoil like feels terrible on it. That's the main thing. Like you're just trying to shoot this thing and you're just messes with your accuracy the whole time with your mouse input. It doesn't feel good to shoot. The DPS isn't that good. I'm gonna put it in A because people keep telling me it's this good, but I just don't really see it. I've gotten some beams with it. I'm seeing some beams with it. I believe you have a pretty large mag size, but it also shoots really fast, so I don't really know exactly. Maybe just a fast RPM makes it feel more consistent. I don't love it though. I don't love it. I'm gonna put the SVK in here as well. It doesn't feel perfect the way we're gonna be building this list because the SVK is A tier and these are B tier, and you're gonna see further down how we're gonna do this, but we're just gonna go with it. SVK is the best DMR, so it is still DMR, but it is the best DMR. It's better than M49 or the SVDM or the LMR27. It does 50 damage for a body shot in pretty much every range. I forgot the headshot, pretty much irrelevant. It's the same SDK. So it 4-taps enemies on very long range. That's pretty solid. However, because it 4-taps and I believe the velocity isn't the best, it's like kind of like you have to hit 4 shots over long range. It's not always the easiest, especially if they start like jumping all over the place. It just comes down to accuracy. Whereas snipers, you just have to 2-tap usually. But like if I had to pick any DMR, I would pick the SVK. Also because it does more damage, it is more frugal when it comes to your ammo economy. Moving on, we have the SL9. This one is like the DPS isn't amazing on it. I think it has hard damage fall off. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have data on this here, but it's a laser beam, and whether you pick it up on the floor or you make it build yourself, it has pretty much no recoil or spread. It's like a little bit worse with AK-205, but it's all right. The DPS is all right on it. Like you move fast because it's SMG. So if you pick up an LMG or even AK-205, this one is just more mobile, which is nice. These two are pretty much just like the same, two sides of the same coin. A little bit slower, a little bit faster. DPS is pretty similar. It's actually like slightly higher DPS than AK-205, just slightly more inaccurate. So next up we have the M4A1. I'm gonna put that in the A tier. It's all right. Close range, absolute beamer. You look at the DPS, it's on the 8th place for DPS. You can feel it. However, the recoil is quite high. The bloom itself is very high on it. Even with like REDSEC changes, even with good like recoil builds, it's fine with like a custom build, but it's still not amazing, and the ground kits are not nearly strong enough to make it worth it to run. So I'm putting it in A tier. Moving on, we have the snipers. I'm putting all of the snipers in the same like tier because they all have different strengths and weaknesses. Like I'd probably have like a mini sniper list if anything, but they still like are pretty much, it's just strengths and weaknesses. It comes down to playstyle. When you pick your loadout, it depends on squads and duos, of course, and like what your teammates are running. But you normally want a gun that's a good all-rounder, close to mid, and then a extreme range weapon as secondary. Usually, unless you do like an R400 loadout where you have like 2 mid ranges. Well, one close mid and then 1 mid. But I've felt like if you have a close mid-range weapon with good versatility and then an extreme one, the extreme one would be like a sniper rifle or a shotgun. So it's extreme one way or the other. This is depending on the maps you play. If you play or where the ring pulls, if the ring's gonna pull into downtown, you're not gonna get to snipe. If it's gonna pull up into the oil fields or whatever, like up in the north, you might actually benefit from a sniper because you're gonna be fighting on long angles and poking. And a shotgun won't help because you're never fighting close. So it depends. Your secondary will depend on how the zone pulls. That being said, I believe all the snipers pretty much like rank more or less the same depending on like what you're expecting. So if I pick up a PSR, it has a pretty high velocity, right? Shoots hella fast, not too much drag as I understand it. It's you know, all of these, and the sweet spot is important here because there's a 2-tap in the body. If you're fighting people in the open over long ranges, the PSR will be a go, both for the sweet spot and of course because it's just more forgiving over range because of velocity. If you're gonna run the sniper and you know you're gonna fight people closer, you have the SV98, sweet spot 45 to 90 meters, I believe. Same thing there, it's just the sweet spot is different. You can snipe with both of these over both ranges, especially with a rangefinder. I believe the velocity one be a bit lower, but if you're gonna fight close range, go for the SV98. Then you have the M2010 ESR. Also, like again, I'm just bunching these together. This one I think is also kind of like on the long range. It's a little bit shorter range to the PSR. I feel like the PSR is a better M2010. I'm not entirely sure what the difference is here. Sweet spot on the PSR is like 90 to 150 and it's like 90 to 120 on M20. Maybe I should put this lower, whatever, I don't care. But it's still the one-shot damage on these, so you know, it still does 100 when you hit them in the sweet spot in the body, so it's gonna be a 2-hit. They're just more frugal than the DMRs, especially like the LMR27, so the ammo will last longer and let you poke people. And then finally, closing out the A tier, we of course have the last sniper that I wanted to put in S tier, but I realized just how big of a difference sweet spot actually made. That's the mini scout. The mini scout does 80 damage at most in the body. It has damage fall off, noticeably so, but it does do, I think it's max, I think it's 140 per headshot, so it's not even 175. I think it's 140. I could be wrong on that. Either way, it's a 2-tap in the head or maybe head and body depending on the range, but it doesn't really hit, like it's mostly, it's pretty good. It's like a mini DMR in a way. Like it shoots a little bit slower than the SVK. It's pretty much like mini SVK if anything. It doesn't have much movement. If any movement bloom, you can strafe and shoot with this thing and still like kill people while moving, which is nice, but it does do more damage for a headshot, and SVK only does like 80 for a headshot. This one does like 140 for a headshot, so it's a significantly different headshot damage. At least 140. I forgot what the exact number is. The point is it does more damage than a headshot. So the SVK, you go for body shots. Scout, you go for headshots. It's just a little bit less forgiving because you can't spam it. but it does shoot pretty fast still compared to the other snipers. It's more agile, so you can be on the run. But however, the lack of sweet spot means you have to hit headshots with this gun to outperform these other weapons, because they can just double body shot you and kill you. You have to hit a headshot to get a kill here with this thing. Very important difference. But hey, if you're accurate, it will outperform those other guns. It's a very good counter sniper gun. Just throwing this one in the B tier because I forgot to mention it. It was just sitting there at the bottom, just taunting me as I was double checking this whole list. The L110 has a pretty harsh spread in my opinion. The DPS isn't like amazing. Yeah, it's like 100 bullets. It's an LMG. Like all these LMGs are so like pretty much the same gun, I'd say, except like there's no damage fall off on M250. But then when it comes to a tiny mag, like these are pretty much just the same gun. If you hold a spot, you're gonna get pretty much the same performance from all of them. But if you do play from behind, if you're playing edge, you're rotating in, it's just not gonna get the job done. Moving on, we have the S tier. Before we go into the S tier, just to mention something that is also S tier is of course Gamer Subs. This is not a sponsored video. I'm just a long-time partner with them. If you guys use code ottr, you get 10% off. If you guys want to try it out, this Gamer Subs actually tastes really nice. It does make you play better, does make you focus better. And if you use the link in the description, they'll actually send you a package. I don't have it in front of me, of 3 different flavor packs. Oh, I have one right here. It'll actually send you 3 of these flavor packs to try it out yourself at no additional cost. If you put code ottr in the checkout when they send these out, they'll actually take the shipping cost off. It costs you absolutely nothing but signing up. And then if you do end up buying any of these tubs, code ottr gives you 10% off and supports the channel. It is also cheaper than Red Bull, Monster. It's way more frugal. If you guys are energy drink fiends like myself, you're gonna benefit from that instead. And then finally, moving on, we of course have the S tier. This is in no particular order. First and foremost, we have the M1014. This is a sleeper pick. Nobody wants to believe me, but the more I play, the more I stand by it. This thing is so good. It is so good. It's good in MP as well. Nobody wanted to believe me there either. But oh my god, I would consider M70, the M87 is better range. But obviously, if you're gonna one-shot me voice, it doesn't matter. But the M1014 is so good. I've swept entire squads with 1 magazine because you 2-tap and it shoots really fast. So if they get close enough, you just beam them. And okay, they might be slightly out of range. Okay, it's a free tap. It still outperforms most guns in the game. It has the 7th highest damage per second in the game. Only really trumped by like what? Yeah, these few guns. Obviously, the Saiga is ranked higher in DPS. However, it is less damage per bullet. So it's not a 2-tap, it's a free tap. It's harder to hit. The hip fire is significantly better on the M1014. Scary as hell. People, very underrated. Next up, we have the KTS. Now, this one is interesting because it goes against what I've said before a little bit. It is an LMG. It slows you down a little bit. However, just like with the AK-205, it has almost no recoil, almost no bloom, and it does good damage. It actually does similar damage as the AK. I think the fall off is better on it though. So AK-205 actually does more damage than the KTS, which is marginally lower. But again, I believe the fall off is less, and it does more damage against armored. I think the AK just does 20 flat, whether they have armor or not. I have to double check this. But the KTS only goes down to 21, so it still does more damage per shot. And the DPS here is 214, slightly lower, but you have a larger magazine size. And I think it is one of the only guns, if not the only gun in the game that has a drum magazine. So even though it is an LMG, you reload it really fast with the default builds. It's super accurate. Even I believe it's pretty forgiving when you strafe it or you stand still. DPS is fine, magazine size is big, reload is fast. It is like you point and the velocity is really high on it from what I've gathered. So like you can just, as long as your crosshair is on the enemy or your reticle is on the enemy, you will deal damage to him and you'll deal a noticeable amount of damage to him. There's not a lot of guns that I feel like I can use that are just point and click like this one. Next up in S tier, we have the RPKM. I love this one. Absolute beamer. It has is a 33 damage. It's ranked at 27th place. However, as we noted in the recoil video, is that the recoil on the RPKM is crazy. I build this as a AR pretty much now, or I did an MP, and it's even better now. The recoil is effectively halved between MP and REDSEC. It has less horizontal, half the horizontal and half the vertical spread. It's just so much tighter, and it just shreds absolutely. You point, it's a bit slow and clunky, even if you build it as an AR. But if you just like a little bit more, not even that much more, it's just like a slightly slower ADS speed. But if you just like pre-aim a tiny bit, you're gonna win pretty much every single fight. And again, if you're in console, if you're in controller, these are slightly different, I think, because like for example, the next gun we're gonna mention now is a TR7. TR7 also has a significantly less recoil. We noted that it has about half the recoil in REDSEC versus MP. In MP, it pulls like so far to the left. In REDSEC, it pulls to the left, but not, again, pretty much half of it. The DPS is also interesting. It has the highest DPS in the game, pretty much like we tested against armor and no armor. I'm gonna have to double test this one just to make sure. But it does free tap enemies up on, like it has a very good fall off. I think the damage fall off like starts past 30 meters, which means unlike most of these guns, it has 33.5 damage up to 30 meters, which means you free tap unarmored or 6 tap armored ones at full health. Absolute beamer if you can control the the recoil. Next up, we have the SG5FAR. This one might end up being downgraded later, but I've noticed like every time I pick this thing up, I know it has a really high DPS. The recoil doesn't look different when we tested it, but it feels better to shoot this thing. Maybe it's like the initial shots are better. Not entirely sure what it is, but I keep picking this thing up and absolutely shredding people. So there's something I might be underestimating with this thing. It absolutely destroys enemies though. So I'm gonna have to put it in the S tier. It just works. Next up, I have the KV9 in the S tier. This thing, I've always hyped up the KV9 and I'm still gonna do it. Now this one is a bit on the extreme range angle, kind of like you have to be fairly close to mid-range to get value from it. It reminds me of the R99 in Apex. Just if you get close enough, you're gonna beam people. They're gonna die so damn fast. It has a 0.44 time to kill. I guess in REDSEC is 0.5 if you average it out because of what we know about armors. So it does 20 damage against armors for some reason and does 25. I've double tested this specific value. It does 25 when it's unarmored, so it takes a little longer to chunk down the armor, but once it's gone, they're gone like that. Next up, we have the USG90, which surprised me because I hate this gun, but it feels better in REDSEC. I believe the recoil is a little bit easier to handle. Damage per second is alright. It's at, okay, yeah, it's 25. Out the gate, I think the base stats just seem fine on it. The recoil isn't too bad, just burst. It has a, what, 50 round magazine, which is huge. I don't think any of SMGs even have anything near that. I think SL9 with the large mag upgrade gets there, but like nobody really has that big of a mag size. This probably felt more in squads, but even in duos, you can feel like, oh, I can just keep shooting and I'm fine. You can feel the lack of DPS. Like I think if you go band for band against a lot of these guns, you're just gonna get absolutely shredded, but it's just a really nice gun once the enemies are like mid plus range. SCW10 is worth noting. I haven't fully finished building this one because I haven't leveled it up fully on my account. However, if you pick up the ground kit, you get pretty close because you can't really upgrade this gun too much. I noticed it felt different in REDSEC. Pattern is slightly different or something. Not sure what it is, but it is overall easier to control these pull down and to the left, I believe. Just a little bit different angle than usual. It has the second highest DPS in the game. Raw DPS, it's right after the KV9 pretty much. And it also has a nice 33.5 damage in the body if they're like close enough. So that's a 6-tap if they're like super close. It suffers from a very small magazine size, but because recoil is easier to control in REDSEC, I'm thinking you can make a build with like, and then we're gonna do like REDSEC specific builds, but I'm thinking you could probably get away with just maybe going for the largest mag size possible so you can get the kill and finish, and maybe, you know, going a little bit lower on like recoil. Then we have a PW5 3A. This one I might end up like moving down later. I felt weird putting it in S tier, but this is a good example of like how bad the builds are. I ran this thing for days. You get this as engineer when you respawn. So I ran this for literal days and it never did anything for me. The DPS isn't that high. Against armors, it's really rough. It does like, I believe, let me see. Against armors, they made it bloom worse too from what I remember. Yeah, against armors, it does 20 damage a hit. You can really feel it. It just doesn't feel good. But then I picked it up out of a drop and I got my own, like my meta build for this thing, and I started beaming people. Straight up beaming people. It is so much better when you have the full build. So that might just mean that meta builds are just that much better than the ground kits, which doesn't surprise me. We mentioned earlier, but we're gonna keep it in S tier because I felt like at its peak, it's just so damn good. Closing out the S tier, we have the SGX. This thing also surprised me because the DPS isn't that insane. However, the same as within MP, we noticed that it has the 15th highest damage. It's actually higher damage than the one we just said, the MP5. It's very controllable. The recoil is not that bad, especially when you build it out fully. Even with like a gold or purple, I don't think there's gold SGX, but purple, it actually feels really good. When you make a custom build on it, it feels like a laser, super accurate. We had a low recoil build we used in MP, and it works just as fine in REDSEC. You just kind of like it has like what, 30 bullets by default, so you actually have quite a lot of bullets to work with, which is nice when enemies are being bullet sponges or Reg isn't working properly or blue, whatever, right? So it's actually quite good as well. I would potentially bump the MP5 down, but I feel like the SGX is definitely like much better. All right, so this is the list now. What are we thinking, chat? Any disagreeers? Any agreeers? Any thoughts? So okay, let's just speed run through the pistol category as well, since I would make one. Glock is F tier. It just sucks. These are all pretty much a mid off. The 5.7 is slightly better, still not very good. Then we're gonna jump up a little bit. We got the P18 sitting in the B tier. It's an alright secondary, has decent amount of ammo, decent like DPS, I guess. It gets the job done. M45 is cool for early game. You only have 8 bullets in it though. I think you can maybe get an extended mag. I haven't really used it that much. And then of course at the S tier you have M44. It's like didn't take long, honestly. Like this is just a mid off on the pistol. The M44 is just so significantly so much better. Nothing even comes close. In early game, you 2-tap in the head, you 3-tap people in the body. In late game, you 4-tap people in the body. You have hollow points, you do like 100 damage in the head up to 20 meters. Like nothing even gets close. Like this is the only gun that's even close to competing with any primary weapon in the game. Okay, that's the list. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe, check out Gamer Subs.